Well, everybody, we are getting right down to the last 5 weeks of the regular season. So, it's on to week 14, and it's time for my quick picks. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? This is me, Ben Cornett, and welcome to another edition of Ben's Quick Picks. This is week 14 edition, and you are watching this on my YouTube channel at Ben Cornett 9015. Go ahead and give it a like and a subscribe if you want to. So, last week was week 13, quite a week for me. With that in mind, let me show you how I did in week 13 and my overall record so far this year. Here it is. And there you have it right there, 9-4 this past week, and now I'm 130-63 on the year. So yeah, pretty good. But now we got to go to week 14. And before we get into my picks, I just want to let you know, if you're new to the channel, what this is I go over every single game of the week. There's no over-under or money line, anything like that. These are just straight up picks that I do. So with that being said, the check marks are what those are the ones that are ones by the teams that I think will win this week. So with that being said, before I get into my picks, let me show you my week 14 picks and tell me what you think. And there you have it. Those are my week 14 picks right there. So let me get into them. Starting out with the Thursday night game. Last week the football gods blessed us with a very good game between Seattle and Dallas. Maybe this is just payback time for us to not have a so good game on Thursday night. Yeah, it's the New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, 5 years ago, you would have thought, man, what a matchup, right? Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger. No. 5 years later, no. It's going to be Bailey Zappi and Mitch Trubisky. Yes, Kenny Pickett is out with an injury, an ankle sprain. And it's not that the Steelers' offense is any good anyway, but now you got the Biscuit, Mitch Trubisky, and Bailey Zappi. Yeah. I don't know whether to decide to watch this game or Candy Cane Lane on Amazon, but I got to pick this game, and I'm just going to go with the Steelers. They're at home. Patriots just aren't a very good team. Pittsburgh's way better, but if you're betting this game, either bet the under or don't even touch it. All right, so the Sunday games. The Houston Texans go to the New York Jets. A tale of two different teams going in two different directions. The Texans are playing very well right now, 7-5 on the year. Meanwhile, the New York Jets are just free falling. They're 4-8, and once again, they're going back to Zach Wilson. And yeah, so with that being said, I'm going Texans here. This might be a closer game than you think. The Jets do have one great thing they got is their defense. That's the one good thing. That's it. And it'll keep them in games. But I think the Houston Texans edge out the Jets. We're going to go with 24-16. All right. The Jaguars at the Browns. Another injury happened. Trevor Lawrence with an ankle injury. Now, at this time, we don't even know if he's going to play or not. I'm assuming he's not going to. That's probably the most likely scenario. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns, last week, they looked good at times and almost could have won that game against the Rams with the ageless Joe Flacco. Now with the Jaguars, assuming we don't have Trevor Lawrence, they go with C.J. Beathard. this is a game where I think it's going to be tough for Jacksonville on a short week. Got to travel on the road. You played Monday night. You're up in Cleveland. Cleveland does have a very good defense, and they play pretty well at home. So with that being said, without Trevor Lawrence, I'm assuming, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns here. I think they're much better defensively, and if Joe Flacco can put together the kind of game he did against the Rams, that's going to bode very well for Cleveland. And I think Cleveland is due to get back on track after 2 tough losses on the road. They're back at home where they usually play well. So give me the Browns over the Jaguars, 27-20. All right, the Indianapolis Colts, easy for me to say, visit the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals came off a very big win on Monday night. You know, Jake Browning looked like the second coming of Joe Burrow. Yeah, it's amazing. Meanwhile, the Colts, big win in Tennessee in overtime. What can I say? You know, the Colts, I got to admit, they're playing pretty well. And, you know, I've picked against them the last few weeks, and they've proven me wrong. Meanwhile, the Bengals, again, as you know, Jake Browning taking over for the injured Joe Burrow. You know, this is a tough game to call. I got to be honest with you. I went back and forth on this, but I got to say that for me, this comes down to teams that are playing hotter. And I understand Cincinnati had a huge win in Jacksonville in overtime, but you got to wonder if Trevor Lawrence didn't get hurt. Could the result have been different? We'll never know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But with that being said, the one thing the Colts do well is they do play a solid defense, and I'm actually going with the Colts here. I'm hoping that Gardner Minshew can not have any turnovers, and the one thing they do well is run the football with Zach Moss. I'm actually going to go Colts here. Close game, 20-17 over the Bengals. There you go. All right, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, last week against Carolina, the Bucs, I called their win over Carolina a wet fart game, a wet fart win. They just squeaked by. Yeah, I said it. They squeaked by against a 1-10 Carolina team. The Atlanta Falcons, meanwhile, played an ugly game against the New York Jets. And I think we pretty much knew it would. Again, I'm not impressed with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry. You know, Desmond Ritter's just not the answer. But they do run the ball pretty well. Solid defensively. Meanwhile, the Bucs, Mayfield's been struggling lately. Not playing horribly, but not playing great either. You know, good news is Levante David is practicing again. Their linebacker. Last week, we didn't really have any linebackers. Hopefully, we get Levante back this week. Maybe Devin White. I don't know. I am going to go Bucs here. Not because I'm a homer, but I'm just saying that I know we're a better team than the Falcons, at least talent-wise. Atlanta just does not impress me. I think we actually get the win on the road. It's going to be an ugly game, but I'm going to go 19-17. Bucs over the Falcons. All right, the Rams at the Ravens. This is an interesting game. You know, the Rams have been playing really well offensively lately. Matt Stafford getting it going again. You know, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. That offense is dynamic. And it's looking like the Rams offense of old with Sean McVay. Meanwhile, the Ravens come off a bye week. Had a win Sunday night against the Chargers a couple weeks back. Looking pretty good. Their offense is really good as well. Defensively, they play very well at home. They've dominated opponents. But I get a feeling here this is going to be a close game. You know, the Rams are playing very hard, very good offensively. But Baltimore's defense, I think, is going to slow them down this week. But I still expect a closer game than people think. I'm going to go Ravens here. You know, I'm going to go 24-17 over the Rams. Should be a close game. Should be fun. Should be. All right, the Detroit Lions go to Chicago, play the Bears. Lions bounced back last week against New Orleans. Nice win. After that Thanksgiving loss to the Packers. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears, they had a bye week, got rested, had a big win Monday night a couple weeks back against Minnesota. Justin Fields, again, I just don't think he's the answer long-term for the Bears. But they did play him well the first time. The Bears did with the Detroit Lions. Almost won that game. And Fields, probably one of his best games of the year. I will say, they are in Chicago. Well-rested. After the bye week, Justin Fields got an extra week of rest. He had just come back from an injury a couple weeks earlier. Detroit, playing well, but I am concerned with Detroit's defense. They've been giving up a lot of points lately. However, I still think Detroit's just so much better offensively, and even though Jared Goff's been struggling a little bit, I still trust him more than I do Justin Fields. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Detroit 31, the Bears 23 in Chicago. All right, the Carolina Panthers are at the New Orleans Saints. NFC South matchup. Look, Carolina's 1-11. New Orleans, they're free-falling. They're 5-7. This, to me, screams trap game. Carolina really want to get a win here. However, I don't trust the Panthers right now. I just don't think they're good enough. It's going to be an ugly game. But I'm going to go Saints here. Like I said, I went back and forth on this one as well, but I'll go with the Saints. We'll go 20-14 over Carolina. It's going to be, the score may look decent, but the game's going to be pretty ugly. And besides, Derek Carr, it's just not too inconsistent, but he'll do enough to win. All right, the afternoon games. The Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers, NFC West matchup. They've just played a couple weeks ago. The Niners annihilated Seattle on Thanksgiving night in Seattle. Now they're in San Fran. Seattle's just been free-falling lately. Losses to the Niners and the Cowboys, back-to-back Thursday night games. Niners are looking very well. Just whooped on Philly in Philadelphia last week. This might be a close game, but the Niners are just too good. They're just too good. You worry a little bit about that huge win in Philly, being on that emotional high. I don't think it's going to affect them. I think they're a better team than Seattle. Seattle's just, defensively they've been struggling. That's usually Pete Carroll's trademark, his defense. But they're going up against this great Niners offense. Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Just weapons galore. And their offensive line is very good. So I'm going to go San Francisco here. They're going to beat Seattle. It's going to be a close game. I'm going to go 27-23. All right. The Minnesota Vikings at the Las Vegas Raiders. Minnesota come off a bye week. Raiders as well. Interesting game. Minnesota's been struggling lately after that nice win streak they had at Atlanta and at home against New Orleans. They've fallen to Denver and then Chicago. Josh Dobbs, a nice story, but again, he's a backup QB at best. I like him, but, we're probably seeing the real Josh Dobbs here. Meanwhile, the Raiders, they had a bye week. Tough loss in Miami. They hung with them last week, or a couple weeks ago, rather. Had 2 wins against both New York teams earlier. This is a tough game to call, but I'm actually going to go Raiders here. And I don't do well when I pick the Raiders because every time I pick the Raiders to win, they lose. Every time I pick the Raiders to lose, they win. Can't get a break with them. Hopefully, picking the Raiders to win this week, I could finally get off the snide with that. So I'm going to go Raiders over the Vikings at home. 23-20. Should be a close game. All right. Probably the game of the week in the NFL. One of the games of the week in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills had a bye week, much needed. Meanwhile, the Chiefs struggled against Green Bay Sunday night. And this isn't the same Chiefs team. It just isn't. Their offense is not as good. They struggle to score in the second half of games, the last few games. The Bills, meanwhile, which Josh Allen you're going to get? You're going to get the guy that can throw for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over, or do you get the Josh Allen that does turn the ball over? Conventional wisdom tells me to pick KC here. I'm actually going Bills here. I'm going Bills. I like them in this game. They've had a week's rest. They knew they let one slip away against Philadelphia, and they want to get back on track. I'm going to go Buffalo Bills here to beat the Chiefs at home. Chiefs have been struggling. They just can't score in the second half for some reason. So give me the Bills over the Chiefs, 27-24. All right, the Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers. Broncos, tough loss last week to the Texans. Probably one of the better games of the year. Meanwhile, the Chargers, ugly game against the Patriots, 6-0. That was terrible. I felt bad for the LA and, New England markets that had to watch that crap. But San Diego's just too talented to only score 6 points against a very bad team. And Denver, they're playing well. I know they lost last week to Houston, but they've had some big wins lately. I'm going to stick with the Broncos here. I think they're the better team right now. They're playing well. The Chargers, I don't know what you're going to get with them. I don't trust them. And I think if the Chargers lose this game, the season's over with. And it'll just be closer for Brandon Staley to be out the door in LA. So give me the Broncos over the Chargers, 24-20. All right, the other game of the week, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles, tough loss last week, and I think they were due for a loss. They've been playing 3 games in 13 days, just living on the edge. They squeaked by Buffalo. Then you got to play the Dallas team that's been playing really well lately. Had a big win Thursday night over Seattle. Big win. What a game this is going to be. The Eagles won the first matchup. You could argue Dallas could have had their chances to win that game. This is interesting. I was going to pick Dallas on this one too, but I always feel like every time a team gets embarrassed, the next week they always come back and play well. I think Philly's going to do that. I think they're going to go into Dallas and beat them. Close game. Very close game. Could go either way. But I like Philly to beat Dallas 33-30. Eagles over the Cowboys. All right, we got something very unique here. 2 Monday night games. We'll start off with the Titans at the Dolphins. Tennessee, tough loss to the Colts. Probably ended their season playoff-wise. Meanwhile, they go to Miami, playing well. They always play well at home. Tennessee's defense, just not the same. They give up a lot of yards. Their secondary is not very good. Meanwhile, Miami, you got to face Tua, then you got to face Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. It's going to be tough for the Titans. I think it's going to be a long night. I'm going Miami here to beat the Titans 30-14. And finally, the other Monday night game, the Green Bay Packers at the New York Giants. The Packers are red hot right now, playing very well. Jordan Love's starting to get it together. He's just playing well. That whole team's, defensively they're doing well. They're doing very well. The Giants, meanwhile, bye week. They did have that big win at Washington. The Tommy DeVito story, it's really nice. It's cool. I'm glad the local kid getting a chance. But I'm going with the hot hand here. The Packers are playing very well lately. They're confident. Jordan Love's finally getting his chemistry going with his receivers. I think it'll be a close game. Giants did have a week off. They're rested. They're ready to go. Saquon Barkley is their best offensive player. But last week, Green Bay did a good job, stopping Pacheco. And if the Packers stop Barkley, I don't think the Giants are going to do much offensively. So I'm going to go with Green Bay here. I think they're going to win this game over the Giants. Give me 23-17. 17. Packers over the Giants. So there you have it. Those are my explanation for my picks this week. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with these picks? Do you disagree? Let me know. So, one more time, I will show you my Week 14 picks, and the ones with the check mark by the team is the one that I'm picking to win. So, check it out one more time. And there you have it. Those are my Week 14 picks. So, with that being said, everybody have a great NFL Week 14 weekend. Hopefully your teams win. Hopefully my team wins. And we'll see how I do when we get back here this time next week. So, with that being said, everybody take care, and I will see you next time, the next video of Ben's Quick Picks. See you later.